take it slow. And then if you're that entrepreneur and you think you have that person, and then when you get to that place where you really feel comfortable, number one, never give up too much equity. Make sure you protect your equity.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Faris Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Not too many people talks about, and we really need to discuss it, because we want from this broadcast Unstoppable, we want all the entrepreneurs to be healthy, happy, and wealthy. And if they don't learn how to create wealth and how to keep the wealth, that won't be possible. So why do you think that what we're discussing today, there is not enough information out there?
Well, I think that, what happens is people get a good idea and maybe they're more of a visionary, right? So that entrepreneur is typically that visionary type, right? So they have this great idea, but what often makes a person a really good visionary isn't always the same thing that makes them good at running the day-to-day operations of the business. And so I'm a big believer in building a team, and nobody does these things alone, right? So any successful business, there is a team behind that business, right? It's not just one person. Now, there might be some examples of a solopreneur who, offers a service and does it really well. I'm thinking of almost like an interior designer. But the reality is most interior designers have assistants and other folks working within the business. So, what entrepreneurs need to be thinking about is they need to really sit down and be very ruthless with themselves and write down, like, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What do they like to do? What do they not like to do? And then go find somebody who can do all those things they don't like to do. And so, for example, in the partnerships I've had in business, I've typically partnered with that visionary that has the big idea and that spends all night thinking about what can we be doing to improve the sales cycle or whatever the thing is, make our product better client experience. And then I tend to be the implementer, the person who actually builds the systems, hires the people, and makes the machine run. And I love that part of this. I love solving problems. I like finding shortcuts. I like figuring these things out. And so when I have that right partnership, it's like the sky's the limit, because, to be clear, I have good ideas too. I have bad ideas. We all do, right? You have good ideas and bad ideas. You got to test them. So it's not like I don't have that capability, but where I like to live is in the problems, solving things, building out the systems, hiring the team. And so that's what I do really well. So that's what I focus on. So I think that's what this entrepreneur should be looking at, is how do I build the best possible team of people around me? And it might just be one person, right? I think it always starts with a partnership. Look at the history of the world. I mean, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, all of those had co-founders that were that person, that implementer type. You don't always remember their names or hear their names that often, but they're there. I mean, Warren Buffett, right, with Charlie Munger. So it's not like Warren Buffett was off on his own. He had a very strong partner in Charlie Munger. And so I think that that's something that sometimes gets missed, because when we see a guy like Jeff Bezos, we think, oh, look all what he created. But Jeff is a very intelligent guy, and he built an incredible team of people around him, probably one of the best teams in the business, and therefore they've had the success they've had. So you can't go it alone. Build that team. It might start with one hire, right? Just finding that partner to help you think through things, but they have to be complementary to you. If you guys think the same or act the same, you're going to get the same results. So bringing somebody in who can do those things you're not good at or don't like to do is the first critical step for an entrepreneur to actually break through into what I would say is more operational, right? Because at the end of the day, entrepreneurs are great, but if you look at a Fortune 500 company, these are organizations, right? They're not entrepreneur, things, absolutely. Right? So to make that transition, you have got to have a team. And so that's where I put a lot of my, like, if you ask me where I spend the majority of my time, it's on the team, building the team, nurturing the team, making sure they have everything they need to find success. So that's critical component. Nobody does it alone. Find that partner that can help you grow.
More about wealth creation, John. So you mentioned that parallel with the property investment, you also have some investment in the stock market. So anyway, can you stand a little bit more in alternative vehicles that that entrepreneurs could can tap type of invest the money in a way that don't only give them capital growth, but also cash flow. Because
Yeah.
in the end of the day, we have to pay, we have to eat every month, we have to petrol in the car every month, we have to certain expenses every month. Whoever have a mortgage have to pay the mortgage every month. So we're more of sometimes when think about the stock exchange, is a lot of people talk about okay, you invest in this stock and then when it goes up in price, then you sell it and then you make money,
Right.
which is only focusing capital growth, but right and cash flow. Whether, for example, because my first business was rent to rent, and it was renting the units, fix them up, and then renting them again, kind of similar vehicle that we're doing with the buildings units, and we were increasing the rent by doing this operation, which is a business that is amazing because you have this cash flow coming every month that
Right.
allows you to and so on. So anything that you can share in other vehicles that generate cash flow that entrepreneurs can diversify their portfolio of investments?
Yeah, I mean, I think we touched on the one, owning the building that you operate your business in. That's huge. I think, I mentioned something earlier as well, but that single family home, even if you just bought one for yourself, when you go to move to the next one, consider a refinance. Now, of course, interest rates have risen, so that's not always going to be easy today, but maybe a cash out refi and then buy another property and turn that first home into a single family rental. Look, there's a lot of cash flowing, whether they're dividend stocks or bonds, things of that nature. But, candidly, I think especially for younger entrepreneurs, they should really focus most of their attention on their business, spend all their time thinking about how they provide the best possible service, have the best possible product, be monomaniacal in that focus, because if that's how you create true wealth. So for example, when my former business partner Mark Spain and I were building Mark Spain Real Estate, that's all we did. In other words, I wasn't buying, flipping homes, I wasn't owning single family rentals. Like every part of my being was focused on growing that business because we had something that was working and customers liked,
absolutely,
and profitable. And so, one thing I've seen is that sometimes entrepreneurs can get very distracted, right? Because they like to chase shiny objects,
Tell me about it.
Yeah, right. And so, like, for example, I have friends that were in the residential real estate business, had very similar companies to I had in other parts of the country, and they started a mortgage business as an add-on. And all of a sudden, they're spending 75% of their time trying to build this mortgage business, and they start neglecting their real estate business. So
what actually working?
Yeah, go small to go big, man. Like, get really good at this one thing and focus on this business, and just every day think about, how do I make this better? How do I make this better? And grow that business. And then maybe you have an exit opportunity, or maybe the business is running so well, you bring on, somebody who can actually take your job. You stay on as but give them a little bit of equity and make them the CEO or president, whatever the title is, and now you can go start a new business and let them focus on this business.
Somebody's looking.
Yeah, it's easier said than done. You got to find the right person and you got to hold them accountable. But, if you find that right person, so it's kind of that idea, before you go off and start your second, third, or fourth company, you really need to get that first company just doing its thing, operating with efficiency and excellence. And then you can consider these things. So, I'm 44. I thought a lot about my wealth, but the wealth that I was thinking about was in the business that I was running. Right. And so I knew if we did a good job there, that would come. So I try not to get too obsessive about it in my 20s and 30s, right? Because it was coming. I was making a good income, to be clear, but I knew the payoff would come if we were patient. Like, good things come to those who wait. So it did. And now it's given me that opportunity to do new things, new ventures. I'm investing in real estate deals outside of what we do. I invest in every deal we do just because we think it's important that our investors see that we're right alongside them. But I also invest in other investment funds and other opportunities in real estate. For example, I own some storage buildings. I've got some apartment buildings outside of what Faris Capital does, actually newer construction. So it's a way I diversify. So I buy value add, which are the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, but I invest in newer, right? So, if it happens over here, I'm taken care of over there. So especially if you're a younger entrepreneur, like, just remember that life seems fast, but it actually is pretty slow. Like if you really work hard at a certain thing and you really focus on it, those things will come with time. It's just about that patience. So slow and steady wins the race is my on life.
That's fantastic, John. And then another question is scaling up.
Yes.
What are what was the you were the first company you had in a co-founder with you, so you were growing the company together. So what is your view in partnerships and to bring the right people, especially because this that you describing before? It happened to me. One day I arrived to the office and my staff told me, Harry, go home. We don't need you here. They were actually better than me operating the business, and they literally sent me home. So what is your opinion regarding scaling up? Because it takes time or for you. I mean, of course, at the beginning it was no to bring the people into the business, because you need to learn how to bring the right people. I think in everything entrepreneurship is a skill. The more you practice, the better you become. You need to start to practice hiring people, and effectively, eventually you're gonna start to hire people that are better than you and everything. And this is when the magic happened. So what was your process in building the culture for your business and working with your co-founder? Did you guys match? Was first match, or you both you have to adapt to yourself and find out where were your strengths and your weakness in order for you to work together and grow this company?
Yeah, it's definitely
it's a lot of commitment for one person. Yeah,
that's right.
Every time that we own a business with somebody else, sometimes becomes really messy, because when you build in a business, it's a lot that you have to put into this. So how you manage growing the partnership?
Yeah, so I think the key is to go real slow. So, for example, my first business partner, I was actually an employee of the company. It was a prior company. We ended up co-founding a brokerage later. And so we worked together for probably 5 or 6 years, me as an employee, him as an employer. And over the years, he would give me additional responsibilities and titles. And so I kind of climbed the ladder, so to speak. So by the time we got to a point of saying, all right, we're going to found this business together, we had been working together for a number of years. Now, my current business partner, Mark Faris, him and I had known each other as we own similar businesses. We developed a friendship, but we actually had a mastermind relationship. So on a monthly or quarterly basis, we would hop on a call for an hour and just talk about, opportunities, challenges, things we were experiencing. He was in a totally different market than I was. So it was where we could have these open conversations, but I didn't have to worry about becoming a future competitor of his. So that 6-year relationship. So when he brought this opportunity to me, I didn't have to think too hard about him because I knew him. I knew his ethics. I knew his morals. I knew how he liked to conduct business. And so that is definitely something you want to be really cautious in. It's almost like dating and getting married. I mean, really, like if you have a partnership and you're giving equity, like it is effectively the same thing as a marriage. And so not only do you have to be very thoughtful on who you choose to partner with, and in this context, we'll say get married to, take it slow. And then if you're that entrepreneur and you think you have that person, before you make that offer, slow it down a little bit more. And then when you get to that place where you really feel comfortable, number one, never give up too much equity. Make sure you protect your equity, make it to where it's worth it for them, but not enough to where they have control or voting rights that could take you out of the deal or whatever. And so with that, I think that's important. And then, when you make that offer to this individual, put a healthy earn in. So in other words, once they get that equity, say you've got maybe 2-3 years before you actually are vested and earn that equity. So that way, if you give the person it and then they start slacking off thinking, well, gosh, I don't have to worry anymore. I've got equity in this business, and they start slacking or not carrying their weight, you can pull it back from them. Right. So it goes back to what I've said before, go slow, go small, take your time. Don't rush, because I have seen great businesses blow up because of a bad partnership decision. They bring somebody on who's toxic and the whole thing falls apart.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.